Hope my voice is clearly audible to all of you. Kindly tell me in the chat box that my voice is clearly audible. Hello. Audible.
Hello.
Yeah, sir. 8 minutes.
Yeah, you're audible.
Guys, am I audible? Kindly write in the chat box if my audio is clearly audible to all of you. Hello. Yeah. So I'm audible, right? Hello, Mastermind, Dilip. Kindly write in the chat box so that I know that I'm audible, so that I can start with the introduction of today's speaker, and we can kick off the session. Yes. Okay. So I'm audible, right? Okay. Great. 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 Uh, so we are having Mr. Kirankumar Subuddhi sir for today's session of post exploitation, footprint removal, and reporting in the offensive security, that is VAPT part. So he is an experienced security analyst with hands-on experience in AI security, web and Android VAPT, infrastructure and penetration testing, SOC, blue team operation, and digital forensic investigation. He is also recognized cybersecurity researcher. He is among top 15 researcher by NCIIPC, Government of India, individual researcher at Workcrowd, and he's always there for securing platforms like Hotstar, Paytm, OnePlus, Mastercard, and ISC2. He is right now a senior manager at HDFC Bank at Red Teaming. So I warmly welcome Mr. Kiran Kumar Subuddhi sir to give the session and interact with our chat. Over to you, Kiran sir.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hope you are doing well. And probably this is the last chapter for this particular program, right? I believe. Uh,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So I prefer that this short and sweet, and hope everybody will be liking it. So today we'll be covering three different topics as of now. I think you are doing familiar with it, which is already on the banner. We can say one is like footprints removal, second is post exploration or post attack, and third is reporting. So major part will be around the post attack and the fingerprint removal. Then we will be winding up with the reporting part. So initially we will start with the post exploration,
Sir,
and then
sorry to interrupt you.
hmm,
आपका screen visible नहीं है. Actually, please can you share screen share your.
one second. Let me share my screen. Share. I hope now it is visible. So initially we will start with the post exploration, and once we are done with the post exploration, then we will start with the fingerprint removal, because until unless we don't do an attack, we cannot basically remove the fingerprints. Okay, so we will be starting with the post exploration, and then we will be moving on to the fingerprint removal, or you can say clearing logs, and then we will go on to the reporting part. So in the report we will be preferably going to two different ports. and that's it. There's the overall agenda, there's the overall flow of what exactly the session would look like. So since we are going to discuss about post exploit or post exploitation, so first thing I'm assuming, what is the assumption that is made? So first I'm assuming that you are already compromised system, you are already exploit the vulnerabilities, you already know how to basically hunt vulnerabilities, uh, exploit in the system and other things. For example, when it comes to web app, you have already found an XSS. Like for example, you found an XS vulnerability. So we are not going to see how exactly we are going to perform XSS. It will be more about what can we do beyond it, what can we do after you got access to it. Or for example, you have got a command shell, or you can say OS shell, or reverse shell, or anything. You got access to the root. So we are assuming that you have got access to some level of access. You already got it, and what you will be doing beyond once you got that particular access. Most of the time when it comes to pen testers, the problem is like you might have seen you might have seen multiple labs, you might have seen multiple courses and other things out there. Even when it comes to when we are into book, you can say I am dealing with lots of reports when it comes to on Backrowd and Bugbase and various other platforms I have reviewed so far. So what do you see, like most of the time researchers ex- share the vulnerabilities in a manner like, for example, when it comes to LFI, they will share like etc pass WD, but what's next? When it comes to XSS, they will share pop-up, but what's next? So we will see like what exactly has to be done post when we got an vulnerability, when we found a vulnerability, what is the next steps. So just take, like I mentioned, we have got the root access of it. So first thing is to do is like system reconnaissance, like gather information of the system. So you got a shell, you basically do like uname hyphen a host name. You will try to find who am I, just to get to understand like what exactly access you have got, whose access you have got once you get a shell out there. So this is how then we see the network configurations, like what is the IP address, what is the R root, the passability, just to see like what are the users that are present into the list users. And yeah, if you have got the root access or a normal user access, if it is a normal user access, you probably won't be able to read etc shadow file. So if you have root access, probably you have got access to ET shadow file or other things. So this is how you basically do a network enumeration. Next is like what we do is like credential harvesting. What we do credential harvesting, like we basically dump the etc passability, master file, master other things. Then we try to get the like SH keys, or maybe we can try to append the SH keys, like create our own SH key and append it into that particular directory. Then is like clearing here I have written like history files. Many times the development team, the users, who basically hard code the passwords within the commands itself. For example, if you want to log into a SH, not SH, I would say, let's say into a SQL, MS SQL, DB or something. So some people basically do is like hyphen u and hyphen p, and hyphen p, beyond hyphen p, they will be adding or appending the password itself. So there is a high chance that sensitive information is being appended. Many times they use API keys, hyphen API key or something, and pass the API key in the command itself. So everything is appended into the bash history, ZSH history, or there are other history files as well, which you want to look for. So basically, you in this manner you will be getting access to the credentials as well, or the API keys which might be sensitive. Okay, so this is called credential harvesting. So next, we have other tools as well, like for downloading or dumping credential. Like we can use Mimikatz, Seatbelt, and other equivalent tools for Windows as well. Then we have network discovery. So network discovery is something where there's something you might be already familiar with. People basically use Nmap and other things. But once you do an Nmap from external network, and once you do an Nmap from an internal network, it's very different. So what exactly you need to do is like once you get into the shell, so from that particular user, from that particular system, or from that particular server, basically we can basically perform a nmap scan or something. Now there's a possibility that nmap is not present and you might not be able to install it. Basically you can use scp command or some kind of file transfer commands through which, or you can basically host a python server or something, put forward and try to import nmap binaries and try to perform nmap scan or other things. So here you will get access to the we can say, for example, there are some systems, some networks, some ips which are getting blocked. Okay, so in this scenario, what will happen is like you will be able to bypass the scenarios, because most of the time the firewall and other things are from the external network. From the internal network, everything is allowed. Okay, So probably something is whitelisted. So you can check that part. You can check internal DNS and other things. You can check the IP tables. You can check the firewall status. And basically, what we can do is like simply if you have the privileges, then you can basically disable the firewall. So like you can see UWS status, unfiltered firewall, which is there, or we can say so. Basically, you can if you can check the status, then you can disable it. So same goes with antivirus and other things as well. When it comes to Windows different other things, you can basically try to mm, then in case just in case you don't have the political privilege or you have a certain level of privilege, but there's still a scope of increasing the privilege or something. Then what we can do is that you can try for privilege escalation checks. So today we won't be covering into any kind of attacks as such. We're just seeing what are the kind of scenarios, what are things that you can do as a part of post exploitation. Because I believe like privilege escalation and other topics are already covered, okay, are already covered in the previous lectures. So today it's more about understanding what can be done. Okay. Coming to data collection. So many times when we do, okay, many times when we do a scenario like we got access to a particular system, that sounds like you compromise a particular system, you compromise a particular a Windows system, Linux system, or a server. First thing that we have to do is to collect the documents. Why are we collecting documents? Because the documents might contain some kind of sensitive or confidential information, so which might be a win-win situation for us, or which might lead to some data breaches or some kind of other scenarios. See if there's any password, if there's any you can say secret, or is it something that is present in the form of Excel file, in form of documents, PDF. So this command is trying to find all the document files, which might lead to some other scenarios. Okay, so data collection is done. Then we have some defensive measures. So if there is any firewall, like I mentioned, if any defender or is anything which is present, we basically have to kill it. We just have to kill it so that it will not create an issue for us. Okay. Now coming up to then we can set up a C2 infrastructure. C2 infrastructure, we can set it using Python, etc., or some kind of compromise host. We can use a compromise host to enumerate or to perform attacks on the other hosts within the infrastructure. So this is something that we can do, and this how is all about. Then these are some of the basic meterpreter command. For example, you are taking a meterpreter shell or a metasploit shell or something. So then basically what we can do is that you can use metasploit related commands. Then we have one second. Then we have something called as browser credential harvesting. So initially what we did is like initially we just did is like we just did the enumeration part of it. Once we got access to it, we did some kind of privilege creation, some kind of data collection. Once we collected data, we have to see like how what exactly the data is. Then finally, we want to see like is there any credentials that are present within the browser. You might have seen a classic example or classic scenario where most of people you get an option right in the browser, like whenever you enter a username and password and click on save, basically click on login, you will be getting a option like save password. uh, have anybody like I believe everybody might have definitely gone through this scenario. Whenever you enter a password and username password, you get a save login button and you get a save option, and most of the time people tend to save it. So these are basically saved into the browser. So what we are doing is like we are trying to exploit a data, or you can say information in the browser. So, okay. We have, uh, second. Huh. So what we can we do is like here is it. So this is for Windows. We can say this is a default directory where basically the passwords are being stored. Apart from this, if even if you go on Chrome, and then what you can do is like one second. Let me just share my screen again. Entire screen and here. So basically, you can do is like Chrome colon slash slash passwords. Just one second. You can see. You can see here it's like password manager, password internal. Once you open this, you'll be able to see the entire passwords of that are being stored into this directory. But what I'm showing is the internal file. You can say I'm not pressing enter because that will basically revealing my internal passwords. So there's something that I'm not doing. But basically, you can just use this into your Windows or into your Chrome browser or Firefox browser or something, and you'll be able to see the passwords out there. Okay. So this is all about where you can get the passwords and other stuff. Stop sharing, share again, window, and here share. So in this manner what you can do is like you can basically share you basically find out the passwords which are stored. Initially you just had access to a particular system, but you didn't have access to any of the users outlook, any maybe maybe their maybe GitHub account or any Gmail or some corporate account or something, mails and other things. But there's a high possibility you might get access to Udemy, you might get access to some internet portals, you might get access to cameras or something else. It might be anything, any browser. Once you get into it, you might get it. So first thing that we do is we try to get the passwords of a Chrome. Then you can also use Mimikatz or other tools as well to get data out there, or basically decrypt it. Basically, okay, you get this DB, and once you can use Mimikatz to basically decrypt it, or you can also use Python script or something. You can use like AI or ChatGPT or something to basically create a script or something, say in a similar manner, so that you can basically decrypt it. Okay. Now coming to the next part. So this similar what I've done is for Firefox, I would say, or you can basically create a extraction tool like this, like Lagazmi. Okay, this is where you can use this to gather the credentials from multiple browsers. Apart from this for Linux, I would say, but when it comes to Windows, there is something called Nearsoft tools. So where you get browsing history view. So that is something that tool you can use for this part. Let me show you that as well. So you can share. Window. Just go to tab. Okay. Here's it. So you can just go to a website called Nilsoft and browsing. Sorry. Okay. Here's it. So here you will get. So in this is a tool where you will get for everything, maybe Firefox, Edge, then we have Chrome and all the other tools, maybe Brave, Safari, and so on and so forth. So you there's a website where you can get all the different tools and other things out there. Okay. So this is how it's all about when it comes to Windows, but when it comes to Linux. But I would recommend is you just go for a command line, because just take scenario like if it is about one single system, it's easy to basically perform execute a particular exe, then extract it and do other things. But when it comes to the bulk systems, like your 100 systems, 200 systems, 1000 systems, 10,000 systems, it becomes difficult. So even when the tool just show for Nilsoft is an exe file, is a GUI file. But all you can do is you can basically it also has a command line support. So you have to write a script, and so that you can automate it. So it's like a plug and play. Once you plug it, automatically it will execute. It will basically generate a host name or something, so that you can identify the system, which system the data is being executed, and then into that it will extract all the browsing history and load it basically, and later you can basically analyze it or parse it to some other scenarios. So this is about where we so then we have something called as tokens basically, where we have password managers. Okay, so there are lots of password managers people use, and we have keep password or something, but definitely it has a password file again to it. So if the password is weak enough, then there's a possibility that we can still brute force it and extract it. So we can use John the Ripper, or we can use Hashcat, or many other tools are available, and based on that you can see that if you are able to crack the hash or something, and basically exploit it. So there's all of password manager and things. Then we have one second, let's see something. Let's make it this one, this better. Browser. Okay, we're done with this side. Okay, this for Chrome and Firefox is done. Multi-browser injection is done. So then we have Outlook. So when it comes to corporate, the most common thing people use is as a Outlook basically. So Outlook is like where we can fetch the profiles and we can steal tokens and other things. So many times the password, if you have a password, like for example, you got a password, there's a high chance that might have some kind of OTP into picture. Okay. So now you don't have the OTP. It's very difficult. So what we can do basically, we can basically try to fetch the session token, session cookie, and try to inject it using cookie editor or other things and try to log in. So in this scenario, there's a chance that probability like you don't need the to OTP in the first place. So this how what we can do is like we basically try to get the session tokens out there or retake or something so that we don't actually need the use of that password or basically even if you have the password we can basically bypass the OTP part and other things. Then try to find the GitHub credentials because you might have known like the entire source code is eventually uploaded on GitHub. If a developer account, so GitHub is plays a very important role. You can basically chain it with supply chain attacks and other things. Like if the developer's account is compromised, you can directly inject a backdoor or we can say a reverse shell or something other scenarios within that particular GitHub code itself appended. So we check for GitHub credentials out there, CLI tokens out there. Even if you get a API key tokens or something, so we can do much more things from it. Okay. Coming to the SSH, I think someone asked about the SSH. So again, so this here, what we can do is like we can try to get the private key, public key, and other things out there, and so that we can use that same key and replicate it and use it again from our side. So this is where we look for some SSH credentials and other things. I think okay, password manager. I think I all covered it. Okay, so now coming to the next part. Okay. So confidential document search. Initially, we had found what we have seen is like we are trying to retrieve PDF, Excel, and other things, but we are not analyze what kind of documents are there, confidential or not something. So we can basically target with a specific. For example, there is something called salary, invoice, tax, or there might be based on the company. For example, if it is NASA, so basically there will be you can say rocket, we can say a framework architecture design or something. So based on that you have to craft your own keywords. It's every time the pen testing attack that is dynamic and depending on client to client. You can basically search for some financial details or some bank account details, invoice, some kind of credit card numbers or something. So here I basically added all the keywords which I want to search for in whichever extensions you want. If you see like there's some kind of different extensions just told maybe like .txt file, so here I have added txt file. You have to customize it according to your own requirements, like whichever you are comfortable, whichever which is good enough. Okay. Now next is all about uh, like finding the codes and configurations. So many times it's not just about the if a sensitive information is stored in the form of PDF or something. There are times where they store it in the environment files or the configuration files or the property files. So that's something that you can look for, maybe like secret tokens, API keys or something. There are times where people store in the .sql file, so database dumps might be present, the backups might be present. So we can use .bak is like for backups, or dumps is like for dumps. Like there are stack trace dumps, debug dumps, other kind of dumps are there. So that you can dumps. So all these things that we can some kind of a compressed files or something. There's something we can find, and based on the files, you can see like if there's any sensitive or juicy information out there. Then we have something called as cloud. So this is something which are seen locally, okay. But what about cloud? The AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle. There are many other things out there. So you can see for credentials, some kind of AWS API keys, secrets, or some kind of client ID or something else. So based on that, you can just look into it out there. So basically, for different scenarios, we have different rejects out there, which you can plan out. Then memory dump. So even in the memory itself, there are lots of we can say dumps out there. Even when it comes to clipboard, you might be familiar with clipboard, right? Many people just copy paste the passwords, copy the password, paste the password, copy the password, paste the password. They don't clear the clipboard, so there's a high chance that something has been missed out in the clipboard or the memory dump or something memory. So we have to check the memory dump for credentials. Okay, then we have token session token and something. So this is something which is similar to that I have covered in the Outlook scenario. So there are scenarios where we, like I mentioned, your sessions are active. You might have seen like Gmail or Udemy or some other websites out there, maybe WhatsApp web or something. So the you don't have to log in again and again. Once you're logged in, until you don't log out, your session still remains active. Basically, these sessions are in the form of cookies. Okay. So what you can do, you can basically try to steal the cookie. Instead of, you don't have the password. Maybe like the user has not saved the password, or you were unsuccessful in getting the password, or there's a possibility like, again, like I mentioned previously, it must have 2FA or it don't have 2FA, but there's a suspicious login activity detected or something. There are multiple scenarios where you might fail even if you get a password. So in this scenario, what you can simply do is basically dump the cookie. Basically, steal the cookie and inject a cookie using cookie editor. Okay, you can just Google out for key editor or cookie injector, or cookie editor is the most common one. Chrome extension, Firefox extension, you will get it. Okay, or you can use burpsuit also. Burpsuit is also fine. You can intercept the request, modify the cookie, and in the headers basically, and share the response, and open the response basically in the browser. Okay, and based on that, so it is a similar one, like we have cookie, we have OAuth as well, or the JW token as well. So based on that, we can extract OAuth or JW token. JW token is also similar. This is like the regex that you can use, or you can use like bearer. Like you might be familiar with the JW token. Everything is like authorization colon bearer space. Then we have a basic store encoded payload, which is consists of the signature and then the payload as well as the authentication type. So as just mentioned, the reverse order. It is actually first is the we can say the authentication type, like it is algorithm, which is also called as algorithm none, algorithm HS256, RS256, the key ID parameter. Then the payload contains of the data that has to be passed as part of it, which mostly contains the expiry value, some kind of rules and other things. And in case any kind of data is being passed, that is a part of payload. And finally the signature is like which is used for signing the payload, like if there's any tampering present or not. If the JWT is vulnerable, then it might not work, the signature validation might not work. But if the JWT is properly configured, so if you even tamper the decode using JWT tool, or we can say, or jailbreak decryptor, you can say, or using basic encoding, and try to just do some, for example, there's a role called non-admin. Okay, you have made it to admin, and try to just create a jailbreak token and send it to a server. So it might probably not work because of the signature. Okay, if the signature is not getting validated, or if there's a flaw within the jailbreak token itself misconfigured, then it will work. So in this scenario, we can basically fetch the JLB tokens and maybe reuse it. So some JLB tokens doesn't have an expiry, or they have expiry for 4 years, 5 years, or something. So in this scenario, it's an plus point for us. We have got the token, and if it is not having an expiry or something, then we can reuse it. And there are times when people hardcode JW tokens and leave it for years, just like a static token. It doesn't have a refresh token or something. So it's like a so in this scenario, all these things can be used since you already done it. Okay, like you have extracted all these things. Even if you see, initially we had done something called network discovery. In the network discovery, there is a possibility that we have got some ID tools, some IP cameras or something. So we can use search, like search, right, to see if there's any exploits available or not. Can we, is there any weak credentials available or not? We can try to brute force using the weak credentials or default credentials, or we can see if there's any public exploit available and try to exploit the particular cameras, or so these are like HQ vision camera is the most common one which we see. Apart from that, the other cameras as well. Basically, based on the enumeration, based on the banner grabbing that we do, what we can do is like basically enumerate and do all the other stuff out there. So how to enumerate it? It's like you can use some, it's the common ports, but apart from this, you can basically do a all port scan as well and see other things. So this for password, like if you got a access to maybe like RSTP, RTSP, I think, and based on that you can see like if it is working or not, and you can basically run Hydra or something where you can load a passwords file and try to see if at all if any of the password is working. Okay, one second, my bad. uh Coming to the printer, so similarly, so it's a similar case for printer as well. You can see like if your printer is vulnerable, if your printer is working on a default configuration, we can also brute force the paths of a particular printer, because there are times where printer has something called as um, default pass or some network pass or something that you can do and that you can check. Okay, now coming to data exploitation techniques. So data exploitation, why it is important? That many times in the organization itself and without outside the organization, there is something called as data leak prevention, that is DLP. There are multiple vendors out there for like Sophos, we have DLP for Fortinet and other things as well. There are lots of data exploitation softwares. So they will prevent, even if you got access to it, you are able to view it, but you cannot take screenshots or photos of every data, right? There are tons and GBs and terabytes of data, gigabytes and terabytes of data. So you have to use some way where we can exploit the data into our system or some an external one. So what you can do, you can use encoding techniques like basic encoding or basic encoding, or you can use SFTP, FTP, or curl or duplicate or some kind of other things to basically exfiltrate data. So you can use ISMP protocol, you can use HTTP protocol, HTTPS protocol, DNS protocol. So there are multiple ways which I have covered over here, where basically you can stealthily basically and convert data into chunks and pass it to an external server, and there you can basically compile it again. So this is all about data exploitation and other things. So guys, so I hope you're enjoying. Is it boring or how exactly it is? You can just mention the things in the comments. I'm having a look at the comments. Some mentioned that just go slow. I'm trying to be a bit slower. So everything is clear, or do you want to change in some scenarios? Okay, I see no response. So let's continue. Coming to the cloud exploitation, so you might have seen like a Google Drive, there are S3 buckets and Azure blobs that you can basically what you can do is like you can use it to exfiltrate data. So there are times when if you do it from a local network, it is not allowed. You're using Apache server, it's not allowing. You're trying to host say a Python server or some kind of other scenarios, but it is still not working. So maybe you can try for cloud storage. Many times like the local things are blocked. Even if you try to do something on a browser or any kind of website or something, like if you just open on Chrome like file upload, public share or file transfer or something, Dropbox something, it might not be allowed. But what if you trying on the CLI? So there's a high chance it is working. So you can try G Drive, you can try AWS S3 bucket, you try uploading on the S3 bucket or use a Azure blob basically to exfiltrate data, or you can basically use a curl using some kind of API, Dropbox API. So maybe like a normal from the GUI browser, if you use Dropbox, it is not allowing, but on the CLI level, on the curl using the API key, it is allowing, it's not getting directed. So these are the ways to basically exfiltrate through cloud. Then you want to be more stealthy. Maybe you don't want to reveal your IP or something. You might be familiar, like Tor is the best option, but Tor will basically make your traffic slower, the data exfiltration slower. But it's a better way in case if you have, based on the environment that you analyze, you found that okay, that's a high, it is not working. Like you are, there's a high chance that you might get detected. So you can use OnShare. OnShare is basically used for, it's a Tor like platform for sharing files, or Tor also other things. Next, the pivoting part. Okay, so pivoting. Okay, over here. So it's like internal services you are trying to explore, doing other things, the databases and credential spray. Like you try password spray on the company domain, the using on the AD. Like if it's Windows, definitely there will be an AD in place. and almost every company over there for the local desktops or laptops that is provided to organization employees are having some called, we can say, are basically configured with the AD itself. So what you can do is that you can basically use control spray. You can do some kind of AD tracks that you are, I think, already covered in the last stage of our activity. We can say innovation, where we have covered about AD forest and other internal part of it. Now, like I mentioned, it's not just about the Gmail, Outlook. It's not restricted to it. There are lots of websites. When you go into corporate, even if you're a college student, okay, you might have seen like there are exam portals, there are confidential documents, backend portals, and other things, which might be embedded with a particular key or token. You 90% times, sometimes you don't have the safe password, so you can basically steal the cookie and try to inject it using purpose or curl and try to get access to the internal company portal. So now, once you get access to a server or a system, so not every time you get like straightforward the code is actually deployed into a system or something. There are times then they use things like containers like Kubernetes, Docker, and other things. Okay, so in this scenario, so you have to know how to actually exploit a container. You have to learn about Kubernetes, containers, and other things, and see how exactly it's going. Okay, so these are some commands where you can basically escape. You log into you mount basically into the file system and log into containers and try to fetch some information or tokens or something from the containers itself, other Kubernetes cluster itself. So these are some of the, or we can basically try to exploit it or escalate privileges, perform privilege deletion into the containers or Docker or some other things. Okay, many times they have Dockers with their root privileges and other things. So all these things that you can basically look into it. Okay, so finally coming to the infrastructure or cloud related attacks, where it's all about like innovation into it. You got access to some kind of like API keys, okay, AWS API keys, and you got access to one other things which are required for logging into an AWS account. So what you can do, you can try to list users, list roles, describe instance, perform other things. You can try to list VMs and see what kind of privilege you have. Do have access to internal EC2 instances, like, but its EC2 instances are nothing but like a external VMs or internal VMs basically. Now you got access to one of the system, and it has 40 different more systems into it. So from one system you are basically, you got access to like you got to know you have the privilege for 40 different instances. So now you got access to 40 different systems, and from that you maybe are having access to RDPs or something. So from there, basically it's like a chaining of attacks where you are not restricting to one thing. Initially you just had access to one particular system. Now you have access to the entire infrastructure, maybe the entire domain admin or the entire systems basically. So this is all about how you can basically. No, it's not just restricted. There are times when people there are many companies which are dealing cryptos and other things. So even there are employees who and the companies also hold a crypto accounts and something, and they might have stored the crypto, we can say, private keys or something into the system itself. You can try to basically, or crypto wallets ID or other things, and you can try to fetch it out, use it, and then do some cryptographic or wallet theft and other things. So there are cloud, we can say, cold storage, hot storage, and other things, so that you can basically look into it around. So what is supply chain attacks? So once once you got access to a particular repository, okay, let's say you got access to a system where you got to know that, yeah, this is the one which is basically pushing the code or something. You don't want to do anything, you want to create a nuisance because there's a possibility the SOC might detect it or something. So what you can do, you can secretly, you don't have to delete it, you don't have to exploit anything. You just have to change the code itself, like just modify the code or just add some kind of payload or something into the repository. And like after every Friday or something, that will be CR, there's a release, and that will push into the into the production basically. And once it is pushed into production, you got access to its scenario. So that is called nothing called as a supply chain attack. You might have seen multiple scenarios like in case of node repositories or Python repositories or other things, where a developer's account is compromised, then a repository is compromised. Because of the repository is compromised, all the people who are using the repository in worldwide are compromised. similar example of dependency confusion attack also. So there are scenarios, there are multiple scenarios where supply chain attacks actually comes into picture. Then we have ransomware simulation. Ransomware simulation is nothing but we are trying to encrypt a particular file. Okay, but again, before doing any of these things in a corporate environment, make sure you take exposure permission, or you take a backup of a particular file and you test it into a test environment. Your encryption ransomware or something is working fine, and I would prefer not to use open source ransomwares because there's a high chance of risk. If you are using it, then just review the code and other things, or you build your own one, smaller one, and then try to just simulate it into a test environment. And once you're sure and confident enough, then test it into the corporate laptop, or use a system, or basically you can ask for a system where if everything gets encrypted or something gets lost or something, then also you are in a safe zone basically. Okay, or rest apart, basically we just create a test file or test directory and specifically encrypt a particular file and folder, and this how basically ransomware stimulation works. So all this code is just like a sample code. This is not actual ransomware file. Is just like just a temporary sample post that I created. Actual code is way bigger, and we can say way more sophisticated. Next is like, sometimes like I mentioned, it's not about supply chain attacks or something. It's also about like, I if I enter into malicious, there's a high chance that people it will get detected. Let's do one thing: make the application vulnerable. Existing application itself vulnerable. For example, like here, just remove some kind of input validations, or inject some like SQL injection queries. Like it should allow like a one-on-one skill one and give access to the input validation or something. So introduce like if there's an, or just degrade a particular version of a particular node package or something. Let's take you found that XYZ node package is vulnerable to RC, remote RC. Okay, so let's take 1.2.7 is there, which is not vulnerable, but 1.0 is vulnerable. So you just basically degrade. That's it. Not do nothing, and you're gone. So basically, you are basically eliminating on the particular privilege as well. So, or you inject a backdoor. For example, you might have seen in CTS and other things. What we do is like you got access to some what website or something, and you're just adding it. So basically, inject a PHP backdoor where you will be getting a reversal from a website. So it's all about creating persistence. You got access to your system, but you don't want to miss out. Maybe like at some fine day they will be able to figure it out, and they will be removing you out from the system. Okay, so you have multiple backdoors, multiple things into picture where you are basically trying to exploit it. So using this particular code, basically you can use another particular website, you can use a particular path where you can use question mark equal to question mark cmd equal to like whatever the commands you do, and you will get the reverse connection on the command output out there. So this is how it works. Then the common strategy is like basically just create one generic account. Okay, for example, a system service account or something, or maybe just create like a legendary user. For example, let's user called let like in the Yogesh. Okay, Yogesh Shinde. So you can use Yogesh Shinde 1 2 3 4 or whatever it is. You can just take something like Gaurav Joshi. Okay, for example, I'm just taking a random name and create account of with it. So it won't. Many people basically create account like which is James Catley. So or like Mr. Robot or something. So this kind of names is easily identified, like which comes in a suspicious category. Create some account or name which is like which becomes difficult to understand if it's a real account or fake account. Okay, so or preferably I would say like create a account which has of a user who has recently left the organization. So it would seem like okay, maybe they have forgot to delete that particular account or something, even if it comes to just switching. And people basically recognize his name. Okay, there's someone who's been part of this organization. Okay, so it becomes easy. So this is all about, or maybe like a new joiner basically. It's like if there's a new joiner and who has recently joined, you can just track it on LinkedIn or somewhere, like and try to create an account with his name. So it becomes easy, and just add to a local administrator group. So you become the local admin, and then you can do the other activities as well. Now other thing is like you can also abuse a Windows scheduler. You might have seen the cron jobs and other things, right, in Linux and Windows. So basically in the scheduler you can see like after a particular instance or a particular time or a particular situation or a particular scenario, it should basically delete this and then again recreate it and basically rename it, or do some kind of scenarios where you can get a reverse shell reverse connection out there, or do some kind of activities once it is done. Or you can also have some kind of conditions as well made for data exploitation. Maybe like after every 15 minutes there's some file need to be sent, or maybe like during non-production hours, let's say your basically the scheduler will execute a particular malware or data exploitation software only during a night from 10 p.m. to morning 5 a.m. So basically this during that time there's possibility there is no, you can say, kind of less activity, or maybe like you can have a scheduler on weekends. Basically during weekends everything on a week off mode, and at the time you're always executing and exploiting data for a long period of time. So all these things can be a part of the post exploitation scenario. Okay, then it's like this is like a classic one which we usually do is like just and re-enable the disabled features. What all you have to do is like there's maybe like there's some we can say RDP is disabled. You can just enable VNC. You can enable VNC service, or you can enable some kind of vulnerable services through which you can get a share, like remote things in IS, or you can basically use it as for persistence and other things. So VNC, like you might have heard like VNC previous older version of VNC as a remote RC and other things. So you can see like if the latest VNC is not vulnerable, you can just download the older one, or vice versa. Or basically just if it's not there, then you can basically install it. So all the scenarios you can do, like clipboard, I think we already read. Like you can see like the clipboard is disabled. You can just state, you can just read the clipboard, you can dump clipboard, other things. So apart from this, which I have not covered, is one thing that is around. You might have seen like Chrome extensions, right? You might have heard about Chrome extensions. So many people, many times you basically have ad blockers, or maybe like some XYZ Chrome extensions, and you see later on, hey, this has been used as backdoor or something. So there's some new developer options in Chrome extensions as well, the developer settings basically, where extensions also have a developer mode. In the developer mode, you can create your own custom Chrome extension and add it. So it will be basically, so that Chrome extension can be used as keylogger or some kind of other scenarios and be used. So all this is all about, okay. Okay, so this is all about the post exploitation. So we are done with the post exploitation for today. So we're moving on to the next topic for clearing logs. So any doubts, any questions till now? So we can take it, or basically you can just have a 1 minute water break. You can just sip some kind of water or something, or take a breath. Meanwhile we just back. Okay, hold on for a while. Hello guys, I'm back. I hope I'm audible. Hello. Okay. No. Actually, I just mentioned to have a water break, and we are back from the water break. And let's get started with the clearing logs. Right. So first thing, let me just it's I'm just something. 1 second. I'm just restructuring the entire scenario, entire thing. Just a second. Pointers. Okay, perfect. Automated data expression, asset, physical. Perfect. I'm done. Now let me share my screen again. Share, no, and share. Okay. I hope you are able to see the screen. And here's it. So first thing, when it comes to exploration or anything, so now we're be covering like how to clear the logs or how to clear the tracks basically. So first thing that we see that we use is either Linux or Windows, right? Windows use करते हैं, Linux use करते हैं. Next is we need network, may it be Wi-Fi network, mobile network, or something to perform exploration. The third thing is we need a browser, but searching, exploit DB or something. So most of the things, these are things. Then we have terminal and session management. Like we need a terminal to perform the exploit, perform commands, execute commands. Then we need some kind of server, maybe file hosting, file servering, or maybe type a file transfer or something. We need either Apache server for hosting our services, web services, something. Then we have Python server. Then we need file manager. Like we are seeing the confidential files, we are mapping for locating our files, downloading it. Once you are downloaded Explorer, we have to open it. So these are basically, so what I've done is like I have tried to list out the key characters or key things that we usually use it while performing pen testing or pen testing related activities. So the something that you see on the screen is the one that we usually use. So is there anything that I missed or you feel you are currently using it and I have not covered over here? So that you can post it in the comments and we will try to see this as well. इसके अलावा सी एंड नाउ आई एम स्पीकिंग हिंदी नाउ. इसके अलावा तुम्हारा पेन टेस्टिंग के टाइम पे या फिर हैकिंग के टाइम पे कुछ और यूज करते हो क्या? So probably everybody over here is basically using some other the things from this list which I've already posted. Okay, so now we'll seeing what are things that we can do from this to clear the tracks. So first thing is about the infrastructure, like operating system, which is the most common thing. उसके बिना तो होगा नहीं. Okay, first is system logs and history logs. History. So basically in Linux we have history, batch history. We have to clear it. So we can use rm command or history-c, history-w to basically clear the basic one. But history-c will only terminate or remove history from the current session, not from the entire like the multiple terminals. It won't clear it from the entire scenario. So for that you can use rm command and remove the batch history and zsh history. If at all using some kind of other we can say terminal. For example, here I use bash and zsh, but there are people who use tmux or some kind of other use as well, where you might have some kind of other history, so you have to delete that history as well. So you can use lsf and la to see which kind of history files are there. Okay. The next one is about the div null. Basically you are basically nullifying the entire content. Whenever whichever you use, basically everything will be replaced with none, like empty. It will empty the file. So instead of deleting it, basically you are making it as empty. Okay. Then you might have used some kind of like authentication, authorization, or you have used like AWS configure, AWS CLI, or some kind of GCP, which you have seen in the past topic on post exploration. So what you can do is like you can use a set to basically remove all these things. See, whatever I'm demonstration or showing over here might differ with what activities you have done into your pen testing activity. So what is important is like documenting everything. Whatever you do, you document it, and then you have to remove it. So here I mentioned as username because, and this is the path. For example, for me, this is the path. For you, you might use some kind of other mechanism, other scenarios, other account. So which might be a different path. You just have to Google it out. Just have to experiment it and then remove it. Same for syslog, for last log and other things, cron job, cron tab, other things. Okay. Then remove temporary files. For example, you have added something to a temp file, you download some expert in a downloads folder, or best things like just create a different folder for yourself. Whatever you download, whatever you copy, move, do any kind of operation, do it in the particular file itself. You write a command, you have to execute, you have to run from exploit, do it in single one. You know where you're doing, so it's very easy to for you to basically remove it, or you basically detach it from a particular scenario. Many people, they download something in a downloads folder, they create some exploit in the temp folder, some another folder, they create some abc folder, exploit folder, some company name folder, and they forget like what exactly is being created and what exactly is being created. It's better to have a single folder, single structure, and you document everything. If you are creating something in nmap, in if let's say let's say there's a company called Bharat Secure Group, so bsg. Okay, so you create a folder called bsg. In that, create a folder called nmap, where you will be putting all the nmap commands, nmap activities and other things. Then there's something called a dubbuster. So in dubbuster folder, you will be creating everything related to dubbuster. There's some exploits, some GitHub tools, you git tools, and run some exploits and other things out there. So everything should be bsg group. So you know, once you delete the bsg, everything will be deleted, and whatever activities you do, everything is basically there. So, and there's like thumbnails, captures, and other things. So system journals, all these things can be done. So similar is done with the Windows as well. For Windows operating system, okay, so there is something called event logs. Okay, this is clear the event logs. These are some of the commands which you can basically use it. Then we are called registry. In Windows, we have registry, so we can just remove the registry and other things as well. Then coming to network. Now we're in the operating system. See, there are many other things as well. This is just a fundamental lecture where it is covering some of the techniques, and based on that, you can basically leverage into more details out there based on your activities that you have been done. So you have basically used a hotspot or something or connected to it. So just forget it. Delete that particular one. You are trying to do some kind of connections, some kind of configuration files, or do some other things. So basically just delete it. So this for Linux and this for Windows. So most of the time, see, I covered Windows and Linux in this entire lecture, but it is similar one with the Mac as well. Mac has a similar configuration, similar to, we can say commands which with in compared to Windows, Linux, I'd say. Mac is somewhere similar to Linux, but you might see some kind of differences within Mac. I use Mac as well, Windows and as well Linux. So it is somewhat similar. So I haven't explicitly covered Mac in a separate manner. This for DNS, DHCP and R basically. You can basically use it to release, clear, flush everything into it. Then we have browsing. So many times we open a browser, we just try, like we mentioned about seeing the history, doing some activities, doing some search, explore something, everything over here. And other way around is like when you're using the operating system, you can use Tails operating system or some device operating system, or live boot operating system, where you don't have to actually do anything. Like you plug in, use it, you retouch everything is and vanish with the OS itself. Second is about VM as well. Like you are using some VM or something which is already there. Okay, you are basically saying the state of the particular VM. Now you're doing all the activities and reverting the previous state. So whatever you've done is gone back to the state which is already there. It's like you have saved a state of your no, particular scenario. You're going the future and coming back to the past. Okay, so this is something. So you can just Google out like how to save state, how to create a snapshot basically in a VM. So because currently we have limited time, because of which we are not getting the practical scenarios as of now. But if you want to see, you can just see Google out how to create a snapshot of any particular we can say system. Okay, and in that scenario you can do it. And it's like the clean activity. It's not just, many people think like if they clear Chrome, just to Chrome or Firefox and just clear history, then it's done. It's not a scenario. You have to make sure like you are deleting the entire database as well, like the SQL tree, history, cookies, and other things from the DB as well as path as well, and other things as well. And 90% times avoid going to the GUI part. More GUI, more difficult to clear logs, because multiple scenarios have been created. Whenever you click on something, a log is created. Click on something, a log is created. So it's better to stick to CLI. CLI has lesser logs, and it becomes easy for you to clear the logs. So most of the things I have covered over here is CLI. Okay. Same goes with Firefox as well. Then the other extensions, like many times you add extensions, something, for example, web, you add a web pleasure extension or some other extensions which you'll be using it. Termination. You are performing attack, you might also. And one of the most common thing like many people do is like they clear the entire history, they clear the entire terminal, they clear everything like making zero. That creates suspicion, because by default if there is no logs, means there's something went wrong, someone has deleted it, someone has done it. So always do the timestamp, at what time you enter in this organization or what time you start this attack. Okay, so delete, or what time you got access, so delete it from the time you started it, or maybe like 30 seconds or 1 minute before you started it, so that suspicious behavior is not getting detected or not getting logged. Just think of scenario like you are entering, you are seeing you have made a mess into your house, yeah, and someone else came and everything is clean and clear. So you will see like how is it possible, but the mess is as it is. The only thing that someone has brought a just giving a random example, someone has brought a hide and seek biscuit and he and ate it. Now what you've done is like he has taken the wrapper and gone. Okay, only for hide and seek. Then the suspicion is then it is less suspicious. Okay, but suppose along with that 10 different biscuit packets, he has taken the wrapper for all the biscuit packet. So now that's the problem, right? So this is how what happens when you are clearing browsing history or things. Don't clear for everything. Just note the timestamp. Just clear whatever is done by you. You just have to clear your own logs, not the logs for the entire organization or the entire user basically. Okay. Same go to SSH, or you can say teamwork sessions, or like I mentioned, some use Terminator, some use teamworks. So for every some use genome terminal. This for you can say for parrot users basically. Parrot users use genome terminator. So based on whatever you use, you have different scenarios. You have to log it and you have to remove it. Now we have something like account processing. Okay, so just disable that particular accounting or audit logs. Just disable it temporarily. Like I mentioned, everything should be temporary. For example, you don't want to create a log, just temporarily disable it. Once you're done with the activity, you enable it. That's it. It becomes easy. The detection is less basically, more stealthier. So basically, this is like Apache server. Like I mentioned, we use Apache server for hosting our web application or something, or some sort of you can say running some kind of like opening some backdoor or something. So all these things. Once you're done, you just have to clear it. You just have to delete it. Same goes to Python server like HTTP server access. So there is some access logs. So you can just basically find it, search it, and delete it. Now, since you want the file manager, open some kind of like just try to visit some users or something. There's a chance like some kind of recent files you might have seen in Windows, like recent file, recent documents. Just remove whichever the recent document you have visited, so that it is not visible or not seen basically. Okay, so this is all about like about the recent files and other things. Then we're networking. So Nmap. Now you use Nmap. You have used Nmap reports, Nmap directories, or Zenmap or configuration or something. So clear everything. So Nmap, I'm used basically Nmap, we use Fireshark, TCP dump. So everything creates a log. So just delete everything. Okay. You can see pcap file, pcap, so different categories, different extensions, different things. And most of the time, things are into a hidden file, like dot file. So you have to keep an eye on the dot file. Most logs, most of the histories, most of the things are into a dot file. So see everything wherever dot file you see, you have to manage, you have to see and analyze. So you're using some netcat, socat, or maybe like lolcat. There are many different uh, this reversal of cat basically, which you can use, and basically you can see and find it and delete it, kill it. So it's not about just deleting log, it's also you have to kill that exe or that shell or that binaries, as well as also stop that particular binaries which are running. So you can use netchat command or some other commands, basically process ps-a command to see if any process that is running. Just kill that process. Once you kill that process, you kill that binary, then remove the log. Okay. Then we have Metasploit. So Metasploit also has a history. Many people think like, okay, I had removed this and then I had removed the badge. Like 90% times the pen testers what to do is they just clear the badge history and they're like, okay, and then the logs are cleared. But not every tool has some kind of log. So even Metasploit has logs. You have to see like you have deleted everything. You have removed payloads. You have removed exes, other things which is being done post exploitation models and other things. Even if you're using burp suite, so burp suite even creates a log. It has burp files, burp state, burp a temp. Even when you open a burp suite in a temporary state, it still creates a burp state out there, even if you don't save it. Okay, so you have to make sure like you basically remove that as well. Even the extensions that you add into burp suite from the VAPT store, even that can be, that has a log into it, so that you can basically remove the common tools like some use the buster, go buster. Then we have other tools as well like fuff, then we have wfuzz and other things. So everything like search exploit. Downloads folder is very common because many people download some random stuff and then they just forget. So just just remove everything from the downloads folder, whichever you have basically we created, or you have basically did. For example, here I can see I can just payload star like something. I have keep a prefix of something because you might have done 4 5 files or 10 files, 15 files, 20 files. You don't know how many iterations you have done, so you don't recollect which file you want to read. You have to delete each and every file. It becomes very difficult. So what I will do is like I just create a prefix of it. For example, let's say my prefix is kk. Okay, so after before every file I will start a word called kk, like Kirankumar for example, kk. It's like I don't have to write every different file out there. I can basically say like any file ending with kk star, so it becomes easy, time saving. Okay, and all you can, once you've done all of these things, now you can create your own automation. Like you know your signatures, you know prefix, you know your other things. So all you can do is like you can create an automation which can basically only work for you and not anybody else, because you know what's your prefixes are, what your suffixes are, what your patterns are, and your automation is built on top of your own like definition that you have built. Okay, now sign-in accounts, these are like we are being getting this configuration files, other thing, or sometimes we don't get it. Like I have my own private repository of GitHub, I want to access it, I have exploits up there, I have notes up there, I just logged in for some reasons. Okay, maybe in incognito mode or private mode or normal mode also. So there are still some possibilities. I have just used some like said GitHub or something, just remove it, made Windows, Linux, or other things. So GitHub, GitLab, or other things. Then we have cloud accounts like AWS. So for AWS, most of the expert we have to configure AWS CLI. So for that, you can basically remove. Or if you're using Docker or something, so this is for the Docker. Okay, Docker and Kubernetes and other things. So This Google activity is very, 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 very important to clear, because even if you are somewhere randomly, you're just opening a YouTube video, that is allowed, you are searching, you are at a client location, or you are just some, or you're just searching for a particular exploit, and that is also basically logged. And it is not just logged into your Google history, like search history, Chrome history. Even if you delete it from Chrome, you know what, if you're opening a phone and you're opening a WhatsApp or a camera application, that is also logged. Do one thing, just go to myactivate@google.com, and you will surprise, even if you're listening to a Spotify song, that will also be logged. You it's That's a simplicity, or we can say advancement of this particular Google account. This is very, very critical. Where you're going, what photo you're taking, where you are staying, for how much time you are stayed. Even if you're going for a petrol pump, it will log you, you're going for a petrol pump. So this is the very important thing. So everything is being tracked. So just look into it. Your view history is also there. Okay, view history, application history, everything is there. Just look into it. Then many times we attach the USB files, like just for plugging into our devices, pen drive, other things, just for file sharing, or some other scenarios. Like, so make sure like your phones are disconnected, your phones are removed, your you remove your particular history and other things, also from the Google devices as well. Many times once you sign in, you got a dark web credentials, or you want a credential from a particular user, and you are trying to log in. But once you logged in, you know what? Let's take, I'm just taking a random name called Yogesh Singh. Okay, so just take, I got access to Yogesh Singh's credentials. What I did is, like, I just want to see or enumerate Yogesh Singh credentials. So what I did, I logged into Yogesh Singh credentials in my laptop. My laptop already has access to Kirankumar's ID. And if Yogesh Singh's credentials is having sync on, or my laptop is having, or my phone is having sync on, so there is a high chance, like, all my credentials from my system, local system, are synced with Yogesh Singh's credentials, Yogesh Singh's ID, or vice versa. All the Yogesh Singh's ID or contacts and other things are synced with my personal device. So there's a high risk. So always do the testing and other things in an isolated environment, and make sure, like, if at all accidentally or some scenario you have added into your account, so make sure, like, in the uh, in the route of exploiting others, you yourself not get exploited. So Google is very, very dangerous in this scenario. And there are many times, like, when we are dealing with the interns and thing, knowingly unknowingly they come up with this scenario, and they're like messed up, like, okay, I'm not sure why why I'm getting so many other contacts from other people. Like, did you accidentally try to log into someone's account? Why in that? Yes, and then you're gone. So you have to remove the device and other things from the itself. Sometimes your phone is backed up into someone's account, so that also you have to check. There's like swap memory and other things, so that you have to look into. So there's like additional pointers, like, not always this is required, but still the memory dumps which you have seen, so you can just clear it out. The clipboard history, like I mentioned, so xclip is the command that we use for copying the text from the terminal to the clipboard, so that you have to see. Then we have printer spool if you have a printer. Then we have Bluetooth history. That times when we enable Bluetooth, Bluetooth monitoring, and we just do some Bluetooth file transfer, or just connect to a smartwatch or something. So the USB, like I mentioned, for printers and other things. The email clients, if you are adding some IAM server, or setting up some kind of Outlook or PST file, OST file, you're dumping out, opening, or doing something. So, and then finally, like I mentioned, you can basically create your own extra basically script or something which will be doing the things for you. And so, like, a final verification, just to verify based on target, like, like you have a specific target, you have did all the clearing activities, but just to verify, just based on the target, you just search it out. Based on the IP, you search it out. Based on the scope that you have done, you just search out, is there anything still left in the entire system? And if something is left, then just clear it out. Okay. And finally, data exploitation, like I mentioned, Like data exploitation also create logs. So you if you use SFTP, FTP, or some another HTTP, DNS, HTTP, whatever it is, you can just basically clear logs out there over here. Okay, then you might have done from netcat or something, or traditional file transfer. You can just remove the logs for them as well, even if it is HTTP or Apache or Python or PHP or some another scenario that you can do it. This for DNS, this for cloud. So for doing different possibilities or scenarios, if you're done a ransomware attack, or like I discovered in the post exploitation scenario. So if that is scenario, then what you can do is you can see like if there's any logs created for this or something, then you can delete it accordingly. Then we have SSH. Now for SSH, you have created a login. You're logged into SSH. You got an credentials. So now what's next? So based on that, whatever the auth log is created, whatever SSH log is created, that you can basically clear it out and do other things. You can, if you're doing brute force attack, you're doing authentication failure attack. So that is also getting logged. So that is in a different folder or path. That also you can check and see that if you are clearing it out. If you're doing the buster or something, it's not just about tool, but on which platform. For example, you have got access to server, and that server for example a web server, and that is getting logged about your field item something, your IP or something. You can just clear it out your IPs and other things from that particular server. So this about the client side traces and server side traces, the SH connection history, like how many times you're connected, or what timestamp and other things. You can basically remove it out and other things. So if you are doing any port forwarding service attacks, so maybe local port forwarding or some reversals or anything. So all these things that you can look into. And yeah, this for the SSH brute force or key management, like generating keys, dumping keys, exploiting keys, or sharing the keys, the public and private key, and getting, then if you're creating persistence something, so make sure like all these things are cleared up. So log tampering. So other things what you can basically, if you are somehow some reason you are not able to not delete the log for some reasons, so what you can do is tamper it. Like every time you try to delete it, something is getting created. If you like for example, if you are deleting some logs getting deleted, this log is deleted, it's better like if you want to delete, you can just edit it. Okay, just edit the log with a different timestamp, maybe like something some couple of months old, or something, some random date and timestamps. So covering the tracks in real time. So this like a basic script which will be just seeing or reading it, and then it will like remove it accordingly. And this like verification, like you verify like based on the keywords on other things. Every time, see, every time you do a log deletion, you have to verify it. Verification is very important, because like I mentioned, whenever you delete it, there's a possibility still a file is created. So verification is very important. So this like all about, so entire such like based on the target IP variables and things. It's like a complete automation. So whatever I'm mentioning, like doing it manually, like building an automation, because doing this entire cheat sheet, entire scenario is very difficult. Doing it every time, like for example, today you're on one nmap scan, or you just log into one as such. Again, doing the entire checklist, it become very difficult. So building out on automation, so that at least 80 to 90% or 50 to 60% is automated. So the rest of the things you can just do is like manual verification and then close it. Okay. So this all about. Finally, prevention for next time is like what are things like you can prevent, like use VPN, use proxy chains or other things. Like at least even if you have got like it's like the host name is different, just change the host name. Many times people keep the personal name as a host name, so change the host name to like parrot, like generic host name, or like maybe make it like Windows. For example, if your phone, let's take your phone is like maybe like Realme, okay, make it a Samsung or something, or some random Windows or something. You know, for example, let's say detection, like it has a phone device, a mobile device attached. So make your mobile name as a Windows desktop, or whatever the office has a name nomenclature. So that becomes very difficult for the forensics team to basically understand like what exactly, like when you see a device name as what we can say, the device name as Windows. first thing that comes to your mind is Windows. Yeah, this is a Windows device because it is written as like the device is Windows. Okay, if it is a, suppose you are doing you're opening a Bluetooth, or you're looking for like you might have seen, like you want to connect to your music player or something, or Bluetooth, or you're trying to receive something or send something, or Wi-Fi hotspot Bluetooth or something. When you see Samsung, hey, you say, hey, Samsung phone क्या है? Samsung phone क्या है? Samsung assistant को किसका है? Because you are basically believing that if the name is Samsung S info means someone basically someone has Samsung S info around the surrounding. Okay, irrespective, that is a possibility. He might just have a basic MI A1 series or something, some random phone basically. But he has set the name Samsung. So it is similar way over here as well. Okay. So next, like when it comes to physical access, for example, this all about what we talked about is the virtual access. Like we are doing virtually, we are using proxy chains, these and other things. There are times when we get a physical access to some of the devices, and at that time, it does scenarios are same, but what we usually do instead of clearing logs are see, once you have done something, there's a high chance, बोलते हैं ना, चाहे कितना भी कर लो, कहीं ना कहीं कुछ ना कुछ छूट ही जाता है. The classic dialogue. Okay, so classic dialogue. So बोलते हैं ना, चोर कितना भी छुपा ले, कुछ ना कुछ तो छूट जाता है. So better is like, instead of creating log, try to avoid it. How can we do it? So in case of hardware, what we can do is like we can create a clone of the particular device, or we can create an image. That's a tool called FTK imager, FTK imager, through which you can create an image, and then work on it using autopsy or forensics. Basically, you can do forensics and other things accordingly. So what? So basically, hardware setup. So you can see, you can basically create a hardware setup and then mount it, chain of custody, imaging process. So for DD, this is like FDIS. FDIS is for creating an image of a particular raw image of your particular device that you are holding basically. So here I've used FDisk. Apart from this, you can also use FTK images. That's for Windows. You can say FTK imager. So this is like command line, but you can also use GUI as well. Then basically you can use different scenarios where we can do memory mounting. For example, you want to capture something on related to the RAM or something. So memory imaging you can do. Post imaging and same can be done for maybe maybe for Windows phone and other things as well. Okay, so then we have isolated analysis where we have to analyze a VM or something. So create a virtual VM like for Kali Windows or something, and create a out there. So these are like autopsy. Autopsy is like once you create an image, uh, once you create an image, then based on that image you can work on it, because since this image is stored into a different hard disk which nobody has access to, you do anything, literally you do anything, nobody's gonna care. Like you even don't have to think about clearing logs. Once you're done, you can destroy a hard disk or just burn the hard disk, doesn't matter. Okay, so all these things and mostly when it comes to forensics and when it comes to legal, so you cannot actually tamper the evidence. Okay, so people are, it is recommended to have a clone or a image created and then only work on it. Don't work on the real evidence. So when it comes to pen testing, we don't take a see on imaging and other thing, but when it comes to forensics and other things, imaging is very mandatory. Okay, so this is all about. Then phase two, like then finally it's like creating copies analysis. Like every time when we will do something on which is sensitive or super sensitive, which it should not be tampered, which has to be verified, so always create a copy of it, because something might get messed up, then we can still retrieve it from the original copy. Okay, okay, so this is all about. And finally the evidence storage, like this mainly around what I would say, preserving the evidence, preserving the exact files and other things, because many times when we do something it becomes clumsy and other things. So here this is all about like how to remove or clean up the FTK image. Even if you are doing FTK or something, that FTK itself might create some kind of logs, and you don't want to create that logs as well. Like when I say you're trying to avoid logs, but you are still, someone might trigger out like, okay, FTK is someone attached FTK or autopsy or something. So you have to create logs of that part as well. So volatile cleanup, this for the RAM which I mentioned. Okay, then the complete physical access cleanup. So there's like then some kind of automation which I build. Okay, now this is all about like once you are done with all of them, one thing is like, even you might have heard of a scenario like even if you delete something permanently, it is not a deleted, it can still be recovered. There is something called as anti-data recovery. Sorry, data recovery. You might have heard of a term called data recovery. So once you delete something, it is still not deleted. So there is something called as you have to read like you have to rewrite the data with null data. So there are multiple algorithms, multiple mechanisms through which you can basically rewrite data. So that comes basically how to basically rewrite data, what can be done, and other things. So you can just Google out, like there are multiple tools as there available, which can rewrite data 10 times, 100 times. And there is also, and you don't have to actually format anything. So there are tools out there which will basically rewrite the data only in the free storage. For example, you have 500 1 TB of hard disk, and 600 GB is full, 400 GB is free. So many people worry like, I cannot delete client's data. So what can be done? So what you have to do, you have deleted the logs, you have deleted everything, but there's a chance that these logs can be retrieved again. Okay, so the 400 GB which is free, empty, you have to write on your particular data with null bytes. So there are multiple different algorithms. That is a different topic altogether. That's a different topic that comes into anti forensics. So that you can basically Google out, or basically we can discuss separately. So this is all about mobile device. Like I mentioned, even Android you can create an image. It's not just about Windows. Many people talk about Windows and Linux and Mac, but even for Android you can create an image and do a forensics. So that is for this for Android and iOS, I would say. And this for cloud, basically if you want to look into cloud like EC2 instance or something, that you can do. And finally the return device, once you're done, just power off, turn off, and return it. So this is all about I would say clearing logs and post exploitation. If any questions, open to it. And once you're done, uh, we can start with the reporting part. What's special? Mm, I don't know. You should be saying me what's special. For me, everything is basic. I'm just teaching whatever I know, what I'm doing. Okay. Second. See, reporting. I'm not sure. I think there are 36 people on this. So what I will do is like I will share you the Google Meet link, because report is something that I can share and we cannot keep it on YouTube. So what we can do, I will share the Google Meet link. You guys can join this Google Meet link, and 1 second. I think uh, Uh, I think Shitish will be adding the Google Meet link on this particular one, and you 30 all the 36 people can basically join over there, and we will be sharing the reports in a closed meeting. Okay, sounds good. Shitish, are you there? Okay, 1 second. So what I will do is like I will Hello, hello, Zaria. Are you there? Do one thing.
Hello, am I audible, guys? Am I audible? Hello, hello, people. I'm audible. Hello, am I audible, guys? Am I audible? Yes. So right now, the more than half of the session is covered, and now only the reporting part is left. Okay. So reporting part will be done by Kiran sir on a Google Meet that I will be providing you guys in the Google chat, and also in the group. Okay. So I will be providing the Google Meet link, since there are only 30 to 40 people who are joining here. So you all can come and join on the Google Meet link, and we can stream rest of the session there, the reporting part, because the reporting uh, part is quite confidential for the YouTube guidelines. So we need to cut it from the YouTube. So rather making the stream private, we are considering to take it on a Google Meet, so that it will be viewed only for the people who are joining from the link. Okay. So after that, in the Google Meet only, I will be sending you all the attendance QR and attendance link, so you all can fill up the form there only. Okay. So right now we are ending the stream, and I will be giving you the Google Meet link in the YouTube chat, and I will be posting it in the group also. Okay. Is it clear to everybody, or else there is any doubt? Yeah, Shobha, I'm just giving you the link. First, I need to be clear that everything is clear to everybody. Yes, clear? Great, 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 great. Just a sec, I'm giving you all the link for the now to join in. Just a minute. I've shared the link in the WhatsApp community, and that the same link will be displayed in the Google chat also. Dharya, if you are there, you can chat, and I will pin the link.
Link hasn't been posted in the chat yet.
Yeah, just a sec. I have posted it in the WhatsApp community, so all the people will be joining there only. Oh, so I am ending the stream, guys. Yeah, kindly switch on in the Google Meet. Okay.